What is up, and welcome to Skill Diff, where we have a show about not only differing skill set, but vastly differing opinions. Beside my awesome co-host, Patrick Holifield today. What'd you do over the weekend, man?
Oh, man, I went and seen the new Lilo and Stitch.
Pretty sick?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Higher or lower than Minecraft movie?
I can't speak on that.
Plead the fifth. So, on today's show, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of different stuff. First things first, Optic decided to get into the Warzone scene, and, well, that didn't work out for him so well. Fortnite's at its lowest player base in a good long while. And then last but surely not least, Gen G goes flawless in the split, only for the second time in the history of the LCK. But the first thing we want to hop into is Counter-Strike 2. We've been all doing our pick'ems here in the office. How you feeling for the first few phases of this? I know it's going to be stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. What are you looking at early on in your pick'ems, and you feeling confident you're going to win?
I think it's a little bit difficult when it comes to the first couple group sets of Counter-Strike.
Sure.
It's really just kind of like a free-for-all down there. I think there is a couple that are destined to probably make it out. For me personally, I picked Heretics and Complexity to be the ones that go undefeated in the Swiss stage. Complexity had that good run not too long ago, and Heretics has been looking strong. Obviously, they beat your boy in the last one. We won't talk about that. Okay, we'll leave that one out. Okay, bots, as somebody like to call it.
Yeah.
But as for the other teams, it really does feel like it's just up in the air. Like any team could win, any team could lose. Obviously, some lower ranked ones might not be able to handle it, but to me, it's all just comes down to like, you get by this, congratulations. And then the next step is where you really start to get into the big dogs, or I guess we can just say semi-big dogs, because they got FaZe in there. You got Falcons in there.
Which is scary.
Yeah, which is kind of scary. It's funny for them to be there. Like, they're probably considered probably the number 2 team and number 1 to some people in their hearts. And they're just sitting here in the second stage just waiting to ruin anybody's hopes and dreams. Yeah,
totally.
Which is so funny to me, but the FaZe is there also. I think that's really going to be where the most exciting action is going to be, is in the stage 2.
For sure.
With the likes of FaZe, Simple coming back again, obviously, for this one. More practice, better team potentially. So at the end of the day, I think my picks are pretty strong. I think I feel pretty confident in Heretics and Complexity going undefeated, going into the Swiss stage, easy peasy. Yeah, North America, baby.
We'll be updating the picks as the stages go by, so we'll be keeping track. I do want to note, you and I do share the same 3-0s. However, Complexity is going to be missing one of their players that had a little bit of visa issues, so that is a little bit sus. So I do think that if they had their full roster, I actually think they could probably make a pretty deep run, but I still think over that first pool, we were going to see twins playing each other for the first time, which is pretty cool. And all in all, the first pool, to me, it's a great opportunity for orgs that aren't often as big. Like, not to say that Heroic isn't big. That's not to say that OG and some of those guys are big orgs. But you get moments to get chances where Cinderellas can be had. Like, Mezport can come through and make a crazy run and then make it all the way to stage 2 and even stage 3. And it's like, now we're talking about something we would have never guessed before. So I do think it makes it really fun and unique. And then the pick'ems also kind of gets everybody invested and interested in the new teams. Because, right now, what are we going to be talking about? Simple playing the Mongols last night on Face It? I mean, why would we ever be talking about stuff like that?
This is some funny stuff. I mean, I am excited once again to see Simple and FaZe, and I think this major is going to be fantastic because obviously this could potentially mark another one for Vitality.
Sure.
And Vitality going into this, obviously off of a barely beating Falcons in the previous Dallas IEM, and of course beating Mouse. This is a big one for them to win here. Potentially, what could it mean if for their error that they're in right now, if they don't take home this major win?
I think it makes it forgettable, which is unfortunate. Because I do think that, when we're talking about their streak now, their streak is the tangible streak, if you will. Nobody thinks that the nip portion of that is tangible. It feels pretty unrealistic, right? Mm-hmm. And it's one of those, if they fall here, we didn't talk about a TL dynasty. We didn't talk about that. We talked about Astralis. Navi had a little bit of a run. But TL was second place there. And that's the people who they took the record from. And if they don't win a major and they don't cement this, they're going to be just like TL. Another team that had a good run, that did some cool stuff, but we'll probably soon forget about them. And it's because if they lose, it depends on who wins, right? If the Falcons end up winning this, it becomes probably the Moneyball era where you buy your way to victories. If Spirit wins this, that's back-to-back majors. They arguably don't boot camp. They at times don't seem like they try hard. But if you show up and win the ones that matter the most, you're probably still the best, and then you could you look at the current stats, Donk statistically is a little bit better than Zywoo. If you win the major, now you're back-to-back major MVPs, it's really hard to say that he's not currently the best player in the world. It's hard to say he's not the MVP. So for me, if you're Vitality, I think everything's on the line, because if you win this, the era is cemented, the dynasty is real, you have a run, you might even be able to run all the way into the fall and go back-to-back, and it becomes a big deal. Grand Slam to major, awesome transition. But if you don't win, it just feels like a bunch of accolades that amount to the things that you don't care about the most.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I have to disagree a little bit, because like their era that they're running on right now is spectacular.
Sure.
And just because they don't have a major win doesn't mean anything. If Spirit do, which this is not going to happen. I'm sorry, Spirit fans, but like Spirit has been playing like dog water, and I don't expect them to do any better in the major than maybe 4th to 5th place. Donk is an incredible player. We all know he is the MVP rifler. Okay, his AK skills unmatched, but he's just one man.
He is.
Vitality, a whole squad. And even if Falcons won, like, sure, we can argue, yeah, the Moneyball era. It's like, cool, Falcons paid their way to victory. Congratulations. Spirit come along and win, yeah, that is amazing. But I'd more likely, I think it would be somebody like Mouse sneaks a win in finally, because they've been looking pretty consistent. But Vitality, even if they do lose, their era is cemented here. I mean, they're second now leading with 30 wins under their belt. I mean, that is a feat to behold. That's like saying all those other tournaments were meaningless. Like, they don't count because it wasn't a major. When they took down the Falcons now multiple times with their Moneyball roster, they've taken down Spirit, they've taken down Mouse. There's like nobody that can come close to them except for the money of the Saudis. That's as close as they can get to taking them down. So I think it's cemented regardless, and I think they probably do take this major as well.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's going to be something to where we will look back on, and they won a Grand Slam, they won a bunch of events, but to me it feels very similar to the TL roster of like, it doesn't, like when I think about who should the streak belong to, the fact that Astralis is on that like top 8 streaks of all time list with one loss between a few of them, if they do not lose 1 or 2 matches there, then they probably do compete with the NIP record. But Astralis was a team we talked about for 3-4 years. And this current Vitality roster, since Ropsis came in, you know, they lost the first event in January, but since then they have been rolling. And I think that this is like, to me, the pendulum point of like, after this, no hater, nobody can say this isn't the era, this isn't their year, this isn't their MVP, this isn't their everything. But if they do lose, it calls into question, you know, you could argue it's a Spirit. You could argue Falcons can make the back half of the year. Mals, I don't think they have a strong enough argument. I think they make it exciting, but no matter what, I think it's going to be really exciting. But that transitions just to the next topic of what is the biggest story coming into this major? Because currently you have historic rosters like Na'Vi who have been stating that, hey, we're giving ourselves 2 more chances with this roster. And again, this is a roster that was roster of the year last year, won a whole slew of events and looked so dominant. And then now you're saying basically in 2 events we're going to blow it up. Didn't look good at IEM. Now you're coming into this event. Might be the end of them. FaZe, obviously the simple story is on top of the world. You've got who's going to get Keusoki at the end of this. Falcons obviously coming on board. Vitality looking to cement their era. What do you think is the biggest story of this major coming in?
Well, I think there's a couple. If we're talking about for like the general public, it's probably FaZe for sure, and I'm a little bit on board on that too. I would like to see them definitely make a semi-run. I think that would be cool for Simple. Like I've stated before in other episodes, I would love to see a Simple versus Zywoo, Vitality versus FaZe. I think that'd be a fun matchup. Definitely would rack in the views for that one. So FaZe getting the run, I think, is a pretty good story. Nico winning a major, I think, is a pretty big one. Like obviously, I think Vitality's probably just going to swoop this as they have been, because I think they just look predominantly better than all the other teams. Arguably, Falcons is the closest, but I think, like we said before, in a best of 5, I think Falcons just doesn't quite have it yet. They need to spend a little bit more of that money. But I think that would probably be the biggest story, is Falcons do finally close that gap. They finally do beat Vitality. They take down that error. They cement it. Nico gets the major win. We're all happy. The crowd is cheering. That for sure, 100% has to be the biggest story for us.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything, especially the BO5 part, because this event being exclusively a BO3 event, to me is crazy that we're seeing BO3s in a major and not BO5s. But I think that lends to Falcons losing. Because there's a couple BO5s where if the series goes to a BO3, Falcons would have already lost, obviously, or Vitality would have already lost. That's not to say they did. Obviously, they might have played things differently. You know, we can wear our tinfoil hats all we want. But being a BO3, I think Spirit can beat anybody in a BO3. I think Falcons can beat anybody in a BO3. I think Mals can probably beat anybody in a BO3. Obviously, Vitality can beat anybody in a BO3. So I do think that makes it exciting. The BO3 piece, I think, is one of the subtle underlinings of this event. It might make it more chaotic than it should be. To me, I agree. The phase, that's the biggest story. It's how does Simple do. He did more viewership in his opening match at IEM than the finals. I think that will probably continue to ring true. And if we get to a playoff, and in that playoffs, we have a Simple v Nico, and the Simple stops Nico again from a major, it will be crazy. I don't even necessarily think that you need the Simple v Vitality for a crazy win or anything like that. I think if it was Simple v Nico, arguably one final time, it'd be pure cinema. And I think that would be the tipping point. Nothing, I think, would touch that.
No, it would be fantastic. I think there is potential for a lot of great storylines with this major, and I think it would definitely be exciting to watch. So we will for sure be staying tuned. Yep. So for next, we're going to move down into our Teardown section, which for this one, we're going to be talking about Riot, our favorite company to speak on, and basically their formats. They're never good. They're always drawn out. Then they leave a lot to be desired. And this one specifically is talking about the League of Legends, the LTA North to be exact, and how they're going through their playoffs. And there's only 6 teams in the region, but yet their playoff is taking like a whole month to conclude just 6 teams.
Yep.
Why does Riot do this?
You could argue that there are 8 teams because there were technically a play into this tournament, but it was 6 teams in the playoffs, okay? And in that time, we've taken from basically May 17th to this will conclude on June 15th. And honestly, it's unacceptable is the only thing that I can say about this. Because, like, for example, if you're a FlyQuest fan, you will watch them play 4 times in 30 days. 4 total times in a month. That's insane.
That is
and
insane.
If you think about like Optic Gaming at, you know, a major, you could watch them play 4 times in a day. And it's just like, it's such a different scale. I get that they want this to be, you know, we talked about this last week in a Valorant state of, because Valorant's in a very similar position. Riot has this scarcity model where they want the maps and matches to feel very scarce and impactful and meaningful. They're probably trying to lean more in that kind of NFL vein. But where that ends up making you is it just makes you forgettable. You forget what's going to be happening because over the weekend there were 2 lower bracket matches for the LTA. And then next weekend we're going to get the culmination of that, right? So it's like the winning teams that even play. There's 2-week gaps between when they play. Put games during the middle week. You know, most of the people who are watching League of Legends, you know, this isn't a shot at anyone, but they're our age. So, like, you know, you can watch things during the middle of the week. It's fine. Like, your numbers aren't going to be hurting. And I get you've got conflicts with other regions, but I don't know. It's tough watching them do this, and it's just not enjoyable. It makes it hard for me to even care about League.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think this is, for me, Riot has always just been terrible at this because it's one of the things I've always hated when we talked about esports in general. And this is kind of like a sidebar to it. It's just like with franchising and everything, it's like they always want to take esports and they want to try to make it into traditional sports and follow like that similar method, like you said, with like the NFL. And it's like, oh, we're going to have weekly games. It's like, this is Saturday Night League and yada, yada. But like, it's just a different audience. The audience for regular sports is so much different than that of esports, and the types of careers and lives that those people live is just like all different. So when it comes to video games and esports, these things are like quick. Like they come in and out of fad. The NFL is going to be there forever. But like League of Legends might not. Same with Valorant. So it's like when you keep drawing these things out, it's just not exciting. I mean, we got Masters Toronto's coming out for Valorant, and it's like that's a whole month process for that. And it's like there's always these long gaps. The LTA, 6 teams, long gaps. You just have to wait. It's like, yay, I watched FlyQuest play. Now I got to wait all the way till next Saturday. And like for me personally, that don't make me hype. It don't make me hype to have to wait a week to see another game, and we're not even at the finals yet. It's just like a constant wait to see if they're even going to make it. And It's like, sure, maybe if you are a generalized fan and you just love it all, it's like you get the intake. But I feel like a lot of esports fans are just kind of like, they like 1 to 2 teams in a region, and that's all they care to watch. They don't care to watch the other games.
Totally. And that's where, like, to me, it's so befuddling because, like, when you think about how does esports and gaming work, because, again, we just talked about Counter-Strike. they're going to be doing the stage 1 basically is conducted over 3 to 4 days to where we're going to have all the way condensing 16 teams down into 8. We're already at double the amount of maximum teams LTA has. We're doing it in 3 to 4 days, and then we're going to do it again 3 to 4 days for the next stage 2, and then we're going to do it again for stage 3 to get to the bracket. And like this is all happening. I think that tournament starts technically on June 3rd, and I think the final of that's like the 19th or the 20th or something like that. It's reasonably quick, and that is for a huge tournament that has tons of teams in it. And this is like a major level of event, and it just makes everything in league kind of feel insignificant at times. And when I think about what gamers and that culture kind of like depends on, is like the biggest piece of it is when something crazy happens, you see it on Twitter. And then you're drawn to the thing. It's like a moth to a flame, right? Like, but you're not drawn of this span of 6 weeks. It's like if, when COD used to run 2Ks on the weekend, it's if a team makes a crazy run and somehow they're in the top 8 teams, whatever, you're going to go watch it. And that's an event that takes place over 24 hours. And when you see stuff like that happens, it's like gamers, we want that instant feedback. Like there's a reason Netflix isn't releasing shows on a weekly basis. They're dropping a whole season. Like we need that instant gratification. I don't know, it just feels so different because one, the way video games can be played on LAN or otherwise is so significantly different. But even when you do compare it to real sports, like, I was fortunate enough to play in the Little League World Series, and that's 20 teams, and that's an event that happens over 2 weeks. And you play baseball, which is a long game, multiple times. You're playing lots of reps out there. Whereas like league, they make it into a 3-4 hour episode, but then that 3-4 hour episode is one thing on one day. And then you go to the next day and you do another 3 or 4 hour things. And gamers, like, you just need that quick gratification, and like that, it just doesn't work well on Twitch, doesn't work well on YouTube, doesn't work well on Twitter. And it's like, how are you and I the two that are discussing this? I know the fans feel that way, but Riot seemingly is the only one left in the dark, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is truly crazy because it's one of those things of like, I don't understand it. And just like, even if we look at these last weekend games for the LTA, it's like when I tuned into the broadcast, it's like over an hour worth of just yapping like we're doing here. And like, are we ever going to get
That's the
to
worst
the game? Part. Yeah, it's like, I don't even think it's possible for them to put a couple games into one show because they have to show off their broadcast people for over an hour and yap. And I don't know if it's they having technical problems, they can't get the players up to par. Like, what's going on that we have to sit here and talk about this backstory stuff for so long? Look, I get it. It's a show. We want entertainment. That's part of the entertainment. But it's like, I didn't come here to just watch the broadcast people talk for 2 hours. I came to watch them talk. Let's get to the games already.
Hey, I mean, maybe that's why co-streaming exists. Maybe it's because I need Tark or somebody else to make this halfway entertaining.
Like you said, we need that stimulation, that instant gratification type deal.
100%. Well, that wraps it up for our teardown today. But we're going to keep it in the League of Legends, and we're going to hop over to Gen G becomes the second ever team to run a perfect split in the LCK. That may sound like an insignificant feat, but I assure you it is not. The LCK is arguably the hardest place to play in the world, and they went flawless yet again. Is this more or less impressive than T1 doing it for the first time in 2022?
I mean, you got to give it to T1 here. You got to give it to my boy Faker. Been standing around, still going strong to this day. I mean, no fault to Gen G. I mean, obviously that is a feat to be able to pull off. And some would argue that maybe the talent has just got better as the game has progressed. You talk about all the time like Jordan versus LeBron, right? Like, oh, of course Jordan could do good. Like, look at the way they were playing back then. They couldn't even play D. But I don't think that reigns true for League. I think Faker he was ahead of his game. And T1, sure, as a team, were a lot better than their competition. But that had no fault to the rest of the competition. They were just that much better. And that's why Faker is talked about. That's why he is known throughout the gaming world, no matter if we're talking about StarCraft. Everybody knows who Faker is. And no offense to Gen G, but it's like, can we say the same about some of their players?
Sure.
I mean, for me, it's like T1 cemented it. They were the first to do it, just like Jordan, back-to-back. Faker, he's there, back-to-back, always brings it home. I think it's just more impressive for them.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's poetic for sure. And that's mostly because when you think about this, you've got Cannon, Chavoy, and Ruler, who are a very core group of guys. Like, they've been around for sure. They've been continually fighting with this. We just had the next Hall of Fame skin get announced. Personally, I thought that it should be Cannon. And I wrote this down. This is a hilarious stat. So we'd mentioned the T1 2022 split roster that went undefeated and won. In that year, the player of the split was Cannon. The most player of the games and the record for the POGs, which is the player of the game points, was 1,600, also by Cannon. So it's poetic that they come back and they take the record from that season. I think that T1 is probably still more impressive because of the names and because of who they are, and because at that age we thought we were seeing the end of Faker. Here we are, still 3 years later, still talking about him. So it was like a really beautiful resurgence to see that happen. But I don't want any discredit to be taken from this Gen G roster, because it is unbelievable they're able to do that in this day and age. And it's still an unbelievably impressive feat by a group of guys that have also been there, have also fought the good fight, and ironically were there in 2022 as well. So impressive to both parties, but I still think T1's probably a little bit more significant, and that's solely because Faker's on the roster.
It's Faker or nothing when it comes to
100%.
League of Legends. And obviously that time will change.
Sure.
And somebody else will come along and take the face, but it's like, I think, for one, I personally just think it's cool that they actually have like a face person. Like we just talked about, LeBron is like, he's like the face of the NBA, right? It's like Faker is the face of League of Legends. I think it's pretty cool. You can't really say that about other ones. You could say Scump for COD.
Sure.
But really that's about it. So that's pretty awesome. And speaking of COD,
Yep.
I think that's where we're going to be moving on next. And
100%.
I don't know if you saw, but
Another face of COD, Nade Shot, had a beautiful thing to say, right?
yeah, he had a beautiful thing to say about the new champion skins of Call of Duty, because Champs is coming up. And boy, did Activision deliver.
Yeah, and what we're going to do is, it's because it's Champs, we're going to get a guy with a crown. We're going to maybe get Scump, right? Like we can get a Scump skin, right? Finally, a Scump skin, maybe, right?
Right, dude. Yeah, and we're getting that. It definitely has ears like a human, but it looks like a certain other animal.
It's an armadillo.
Yeah,
it's an armadillo.
It's an armadillo. And this isn't buy sell by no means, but like, dude, this skin.
It hurts.
What are we thinking about?
Dude, it hurts. It hurts. I don't know. Like, I don't know what Activision's doing. I think they're just asleep at the wheel. I think they've been asleep at the wheel. It just seems like they were like, oh yeah, guys, Champs is coming up. Oh, well, we have this completely unrelated skin pack. Let's just put Champs at the top of it and just release it. I mean, it makes no sense. Like, if you did a squirrel, it's the Toronto Ultra, you could argue that their like squirrel character could be part of it. But this is like, it's not purple. It's not purple and white at all. It's like an orange armadillo. There's an armadillo grenade. There's like a little emote thing that's bacon and eggs in a little skillet. I don't know what that has to do with Champs.
What's the relevance?
I don't know how we're there. There's so much stuff you could do with this. You could honor last year's champions. You could honor literally Scump, who does not have a skin in this game, which is unbelievable. Nade Shot, pick anybody. Like, it could literally be anything other than an armadillo. But hey, here we are. We got an armadillo skin for Champs.
I think it's funny. I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head, because I think it is just like some skin they had made previously that didn't get shipped in, and they're just like, yeah, let's just throw this one in here. Why not? Because we can throw Champs. Does it even say Champs on the skin? I feel like I remember looking at it. It doesn't even.
It maybe has a patch. I know it says it on the bundle on the top left, but
yeah, but like on the skin itself, it's like, it's not even like the scales have patterns of Champs written in it, or like names of players or anything. It's
dude,
like,
you could make it cool.
Sure, yeah. It's like there's tons of ways you could make it cool, but it's like, yeah, it's just something unrelated. And with the frying pan emo and stuff, that's what makes it seem like it's something completely different that they just threw into this. And Scum not getting the skin, yeah, that one should have been the easiest one.
Slam dunk.
I mean, they had got operator skins of other content creators that got put into the game, and sure, they're basic and just like made to look like them, but like, yeah, Scump with the crown would go cool. What was the name of that BR game that did it? That he got one in?
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
Off the Grid?
Yeah, Off the Grid.
Yeah, like, dude, they could have did something like that.
Totally.
That'd have been dope, but instead, armadillo.
Yep.
Here we are, we're gonna like roll up to the comment. I don't know, man.
Dude, it's so bad.
It is bad. Maybe they're just joking.
It's so tone
with the
deaf, and it's one of those, like, you can look at literally any other game. Like, I think Valorant's champion skins are cool. They say champions on the side. Makes sense. It's like a logical thing, but dude, I don't know. It's so terrible just to watch COD continually, slowly off itself. And it doesn't even feel slow at this point. It's like they're not even trying. Like, dude, it's so bad. So bad. You could at least make the proceeds and everything go towards the game in and of itself and, like, help the prize pool. And, like, I don't know, make prize pool increase. I don't know. It's like, I don't know, The International hasn't done this before. It's crazy. But you have to make the thing good. Like, I wouldn't even want to buy the armadillos again. Like, it's not even cool.
It's not. It's just a tan armadillo, dude.
Oh, it's bad. But moving on to things that are surprisingly bad and still in the Call of Duty world, and where this armadillo skin probably will be. Optic decided it would be a good idea to invest in a Warzone team because Esports World Cup's coming up. What would Call of Duty be without Optic at the end of the day? So they took one of the top teams. You had Z-Laner, you had Joe Woe, and then you had, I believe, Oakley Boy was their third. It's very respectable roster, very well-known people. And you had to play in a tournament to play in the tournament to get in. And, you know, they should come in, they should smoke everybody, right?
They should.
Right?
They should.
They finished dead last.
Oof.
And this is after a big PR push from Optic. This is after a 24/7 live stream channel for the Warzone team. This hurts. This hurts. Just, what are your thoughts? Is this painful for Optic? Should they care? Should they sweep it under the rug? Like,
I think it's unfortunately painful for Optic just because obviously their Call of Duty season has not been going the greatest. Tons of roster swaps, and they started to pick it up now, but at one point it was looking like they might not even make champs. So then to just have this little PR push and stuff for a Warzone team for the Esports World Cup, and then to just come in dead last, I don't know. For me, it's kind of like the little cherry on top for like Call of Duty and Optic as a whole right now. Because it is sad. It's like, I don't want to see them fail. Sure. But like, I just don't know. I don't know what's worse, man. Like
they should have made it a content team, and it wouldn't have hurt that bad. You should have used Caesar. Yeah. You should have used like some of your guys. Like, I don't even care. Hitch, whatever.
Came dead last, maybe.
Dude, if Scump would have been on that, oh my God.
Good. Yeah, dude, Scump on the Warzone roster. Ooh. That probably would have been pretty hard.
100%.
Maybe he would have actually got a skin.
Hey, nah, let's not get out of ourselves.
Yeah, let's not jump too far ahead. But yeah, I don't know if it's worse that they came in dead last, or if the competition's just that great. It's just weird to me because it's like Warzone, like any other BR, it's definitely a lot more action-packed and more like slaying capabilities and stuff than like something you would see maybe out of PUBG or like Fortnite or Apex. But the talent they have on that roster, it is so sad to see that they can come in dead last in the pre-qualifier tournament to even get there. That's insane to me.
Well, I mean, the good news is Warzone was basically lagging out all last week. So if you search Warzone right now, you're just going to see everybody lagging out. So nobody will probably know this. You can just sweep this under the rug and like, hey,
easy sweep.
Hey, it didn't happen. Just move on, move on. Speaking of move on, we're going to move on to the greatest segment of the show, buy or sell. All right, welcome to Buy or Sell. The first topic of the day is, over the weekend, Roblox, Grow a Garden, which is a game in Roblox. Roblox is a game that has games in it. It's very confusing. But 11 million people playing concurrently. Maybe the most played single game experience ever. Highest peak all time on Steam was, I think, 3.8 million by PUBG. Buying or selling? Roblox, king of gaming.
I think I'm going to give this one a buy. I've been speaking on Roblox plenty of times around here. It is like, if I was a kid today, Roblox would be the coolest thing ever. Yep. It is like they have so many. You can play Valorant inside of that. You can play anything you want inside that game. It's basically the Kids Gary's mod, but just a lot cooler and a lot more schemier the way it's monetized. But we won't get into that. But 11 million for a garden game, kudos.
Did your kids play it this weekend?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen my son playing that game.
That's incredible. I'm buying this as well, but I'm buying it on the pretense of the stuff that he doesn't like, which is, it's incredible to me that his kids could be the ones who actually made this game and allowed others to play this game and monetize this game. There are tons of people out there that have become millionaires off of Roblox, which is an incredible opportunity. And it just shows, make good things, people play good things. I'm probably not going to play Grow a Garden, but 11 million people clearly did at the same time, which is incredible.
Yeah, all right, well, now let's talk about other people who have made millions of dollars, but on stuff that's probably not as important. Asmongold.
Okay.
There's been an announcement that he's going to be co-streaming on Kick.
Yep.
It's kind of a big deal to all these internet dwellers. You know, they get to see their boy on the green platform instead of just the purple one.
Sure.
Basically, we're buying or selling, not that per se, but like co-streaming. Sure. Is that the thing to do now?
I'm going to buy this because, one, I think that co-streaming should probably be the new norm. And that's not because I think a lot of people get a lot of hate when they go to Kick because Kick is the DGen platform and you got banned off of Twitch. But Twitch does just as heinous, bad, unfortunate, and stupid things as the other platforms. Like the new one is, Twitch's newest feature is going to be the ability to go back in time and watch your videos and like rewind, but only if you're a paid pro member. That's just a default function already on Kick and YouTube. And it's like, you need this competition. I think the contract wars we got into allowed for the platforms to kind of lag behind. Felt like YouTube was probably the only one innovating, and unfortunately they weren't good. So I think co-streaming should become the new norm. More people should do it. Let's make the competition better. Let's get rid of this weird Twitch nonsense. Fix the world. It's not a good place.
I'm on the same horn. Bye. It's they shouldn't be locked down in contracts in one platform. With them being able to stream on all platforms, that does create the better competition, which is always better, okay? Sure. That's what drove H1 to finally make some changes when PUBG came around.
Yeah.
Little sidebar off topic there, but it may have been for the worst, but co-streaming is definitely the way to go.
Absolutely. Next thing we want to hop into is Hi-Rez is back in the news. It's probably not good. Their executive staff is, I don't want to call it being laid off, but maybe stepped down or laid off is the correct verbiage. But they're doing it so that the core development team of Smite 2 and Paladins can stay around to keep developing the game.
They still got a team working on Paladins?
I think so.
That's crazy. I'll buy this one out of respect for the decision they're making. It's kind of like the old argument that the internet loves to do of like, well, the CEO's making $300 million, so why can't they take a pay cut instead of laying off these employees? So I think kudos to them. I think it's a great decision, so to say, what they're doing to keep those games going just for those devs and for the players alike. Because, you know, I'm sure there is a couple, maybe like 1,000 to 2,000 Smite 2 fans out there that are excited to hear this. Yeah,
I'm going to buy this as well. I think we're agreeing more often than we should. But I agree. Similar sentiment. Getting the executives to kind of take a back seat to let the developers continue to push the thing. I also think it really shows that they believe in this game. They believe in what they've created, and they believe that it will be successful. And I don't think Smite 2 is a bad game. I think it's a perfectly good game.
It's just a cash grab.
Well, I mean, their monetization strategy, you can play the game for free. It's better than League, like from a cash grab perspective. It's different viewpoints.
They should have
third
took the
person
CS2 route. That's all I'm saying.
Well, just integrated everything into it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. What we got next?
All right, so next up on the board, we have another game that unfortunately did not make it. X-Defiant.
RIP.
Yep. Rest in peace. Gone for good.
Yep.
So basically the buy or sell here is X-Defiant buying or selling that it was a bad game.
Sell. I don't think this was a bad game. I think this is a bad studio. I don't think the concept is bad. And the worst part of all of this is I think there's a lot of people, and probably most of them work at Activision, that are currently saying, you see, nobody can beat Call of Duty. And man, is that not correct. This game was just released very poorly. It had an alpha that everybody liked, and then we had to wait like 4 months to play it again, and nothing changed. It's the same game. Just again, 4 months later. They probably did some stuff on the back end, but the logistics of how they released, how they handled updates and did everything else, like it just wasn't good. You made the same mistake COD did. Your ranked system was not good. It wasn't really there at launch, and like couldn't do custom lobbies and just not well set up. So again, I think the developers made a pretty decent product. It still needed a ways to go, but it's never going to get that. And I blame Ubisoft almost so hardly.
So for me, it's a buy. It was a bad game. Sure, bad development process and bad studio as well. I do agree with the studio. It's like, yeah, we had that beta. It was at the perfect time. They had a window of launching, which was when Modern Warfare 2 was being completely hated upon because it was a bad game. And they had the ultimate time there to release their game and probably still be around to this day because that's all it would have took, even though it is a bad game. But it's like, if you can just convert some of those people, it's fine. They didn't do that. They waited, postponed it. Didn't release till like a year after that. It was too late. Modern Warfare 3 came out. They all loved it. You lost your whole fan base just like that.
Yep. Just really unfortunate timing. So next thing we want to hop into is FaZe Clan announced another content house. This has got to be like 15 years after the first one at this point. It is crazy. But they're doing another content house. You got Kai San. You got, I believe Apex is in there. A few others. But new FaZe house, 2025. Buying or selling. This is cool. Content house is still cool.
Dude, it's still cool. Buying. just like they used to do in the day, but now just more than ever. Content, I've told you this a million times, this is the Zoomer type content they want.
Sure.
All these people together, probably destroying stuff, bringing on special guests. Like, that is just the new age streaming thing that all the top content creators are doing. And what better way to do it than just having a nice, big, expensive house, get everybody in there, and now we're all streaming together, doing crazy stuff. Hate it or love it, that's what the people do love.
Yeah, I'm going to sell this for everything you just said, like exact same. Just not good. And that's because like I think this is very cool, and it's no slight against FaZe Clan. It's no slight against the OGs. I think FaZe they've done a really good job in continually to chase the model of like, hey, this is where content is going. But it just becomes, it just feels like we're going very Logan Paul to a forest in Japan kind of pathing, because it just seems like the carnage gets bigger, the destruction gets bigger, the drama gets bigger, the chaos gets bigger, and it's like, guys, how do we get from trick shotting to this? Yes. It just feels so far, because like hitting better and better trick shots was cool, and it was like you're chasing a degree of high that is maybe not the best, but then this feels like you're chasing ones that are far, far from the best.
Okay, old man, or was it okay, boomer? Get with the times. But anyway, the explosion is going to be beautiful when it finally does all implode.
I mean, it'll be a video that we will for sure see on Twitter.
Spectacular. All right, speaking of spectacular things, Valorant celebrating its 5-year anniversary. Round of applause, everybody. They've made it 5 years.
Sure.
And so, Valorant, 5 years later, how are we feeling? Are we buying or selling?
I'm selling. I'm selling this because what's crazy is if you'd have asked me 5 years ago, this was like S, like for sure S for me. And even maybe 6 months after that, still S. I know we just did our state of on this, so we kind of dove super hard into it. But in the beginning, I was literally working with them to try to make the tournament scene and competitive stuff very cool. So it was weird. They were involved in the community. They were working with outsiders. It felt like Riot had turned a new leaf. And then we literally had a segment 10 minutes ago talking about how they've not turned any leaves. They're still a terrible company. So I think Valorant could be a far more successful game if another company published it. And that's unfortunate.
It's kind of crazy. I'm buying it. Look, through all my hatred and love of Valorant, at the end of the day, my boy, it is a fun game.
Sure.
The lore they've created with the game is fun. The agents are cool. The guns are cool. Sure, it's based off Counter-Strike, but it's got its own little twist. I think the future of Valorant is strong. Sure, we're going on the rise up and down, but hey, we're finally getting the replay system. 5 years later,
That's true.
Let's go.
I do wish that if Valorant and Overwatch were from different studios, I think I would actually have belief.
Are you saying so if Blizzard made Valorant?
Yeah.
You have belief?
Yeah.
Didn't they run their franchising league into the ground?
Well, I'm not saying they've done nothing.
Think Bobby Kotick should have been in charge of Valorant?
Sadly, I think it might pan out better. They've at least learned from their mistakes.
That's crazy.
So moving on, you're gonna love this. The Switch 2. The Switch 2. Okay, this hold together for me.
Love it.
Switch 2. They're canceling the pre-orders, but that's because they said they've oversold it. And then now people online, they're going feral. And they're going feral because they're going to have to wait months now to get their hands on the Switch 2.
That's crazy.
So you buying or selling, this is actually due to over-demand, or is this just some logistical problem?
Dude, it probably is the over-demand. So which one is that one?
I would say you buy. You're believing them.
That's the buy?
Yeah.
It's not, but I don't want to believe. It's a buy that I believe that there's a bunch of dumb people out there that are paying for this console. And that's unfortunate because I don't understand why you would pay for this. Dude, I'm sorry. I don't want to go on a tangent. I'm keep it brief. I think the console is just another rehash of the same thing.
Sure.
It's a money grab. The games on the Switch are not fun. I don't want to play Smash for the 50th time. I don't want to play Mario for the 50th time.
Yeah, but what about Mario Kart in an open world?
Dude, please. Dude, their games on that system are trash, brother. They're trash. I like Valorant.
I'm selling this, but it's mostly because I think that it is logistical problems. I actually don't think that the demand is going to be that high. I cannot imagine a world where this is going to do gangbusters sales-wise. So I think this is more of a logistical problem. They kind of soft delayed it with the tariff nonsense. So I don't think that the tariffs actually have really implemented anything detrimental to them in their supply chain. So I can't imagine reality where you oversell it. Either Target made a mistake or Nintendo made a mistake. I don't think that many people buying this stupid thing.
Dude, you are not in touch with... Dude, The gaming population is full of a bunch of
what?
degens.
Woo.
Yeah, like bunch of people.
Speaking of degens, what's next?
Dude, let me rant. Let me rant about the Switch.
Oh, this next one's
And
going to be better.
Nintendo. Fortnite. Fortnite's what we're talking about next. So, unfortunately, Fortnite has seen its lower player base.
Unfortunately. Carry on.
F4 has seen its lowest player base in 2 years. Made biggest drop off in 1 month. Are we buying or selling? Fortnite is a dying, dead game.
Buy. As quick as we can buy. 100% buy.
What would you wish that upon?
We got to get on to something else. Something else got to come.
You wouldn't be saying if it was Call of Duty that was reigning.
No, it's
like
dying
Fortnite.
too. I hope it dies. We need something else.
That's crazy.
We need a lot of new stuff. Honestly, we're probably at a generation to where we can probably just cull out basically everything but Counter-Strike and just bring in a new wave. I don't know other than that what we should keep. Bring StarCraft back. I don't care.
Dude, you're such a boomer, bro.
Well, to me, it's you just did this crazy Star Wars collab, which I actually really like Star Wars, okay? I'm a big Star Wars guy. Darth Jar Jar.
Yeah.
The memeiest of the memes. You can't even sell the memes to kids now. And you went down 1 million players, which is a significant amount. The overwhelming majority of games never get 1 million active players, and they lost that in a month. Which means, they're still doing probably overall decently.
Thanks, Wayne.
But I think it's a downward trend. I think the youth, they might be going to Roblox. I don't know.
Roblox is where it's at. For me, it's just sell. I think Fortnite is a great game, and through its ups and downs, it will constantly rise and fall. But like, they are innovators. The reason why their BR stayed so popular for so long is because they actually change their game. They will go from like this type of BR to like maybe it's more vehicle based. So we got heroes and villains, and obviously their crossovers that they do are very popular. You have games within games now. It basically is a Roblox.
I was gonna say I do think that helps a ton with like you can basically play Rocket League in it. You can do Guitar Hero type stuff in there.
I love that.
And so I do think that helps a lot. But to see it still declining is not good, considering it should be doing nothing but inclining with games within games. So.
Hater alert.
For sure, 100%. That is all for our show today. This week we're going to be having the Austin Major kicks off in about 24 hours. So we should see some cool action over there. Other than that, it's a little bit quiet in the world of esports as we get ready for Esports World Cup. Call of Duty will be back for a little bit. What are you excited about over the next?
You forgot one. What do you
What's
mean?
that?
This weekend we got Masters Toronto. Valorant starting up, baby. Let's go, America.
We'll get to see like 2 matches in the next 3 weeks before anything real happens.
Incorrect. We get to see 2 matches per week.
Yeah.
We'll see 2 matches.
We'll be at the
and then
finals by August.
Exactly. And then we'll be going to Paris, baby. Let's go.
What are you excited for this week? Anything fun?
I just said about
Just Masters.
I mean, as far as video game wise, yeah. Other than that, just playing some video games myself.
What are you playing?
Oh, well, maybe a little bit of Valorant. Maybe a little bit of Counter-Strike.
As long as it's not Tarkov, I'm good with it.
Nah.
We will see you guys on the next one. Thank you guys for hanging out with us.